Welcome in. Sorry for the delay yet again. This time it's actually not my fault. Amira decided that she wanted a snuggle just when I was about to get up. So it was time to get up, and Amira decided she was going to lie on top of me. So I was about half an hour late getting out of bed, which has put me behind just a little bit. So apologies for being in late. I'll put Lily and Jack up on screen with Maddie for now because they're always in my thoughts. So even when I'm talking about Maddie, I'm still thinking of Lily and Jack. Welcome in, Teresa. Welcome in, Hugging Demons. For anyone who's watching who may not have been following my Jack and Lily content, the reason there is a headphone thing on the top of the screen with a love heart in it, that is for Parker, the autistic 11-year-old boy who wandered off from Calgary. Wandered off from Thornville in Calgary about a bit over 2 weeks ago, and they found him this week deceased. A lot of us are just brokenhearted over that, and I put that up just in memory of Parker. Welcome in, Deborah. And I have to say, that mural, not the mural, the graffiti that's been put up with Parker's name, I'd love to see someone do something like that in Nova Scotia for Lily and Jack. Actually, I saw Chelsea mention that on her Facebook, and I thought that would be so good. Yeah, we can all be late together. Especially this time of year, while it's still cold, the mornings are getting lighter at least, but I'm still not getting up any earlier. So, you know, it's a struggle. Yeah. It's so heartbreaking. And welcome in, Rita and Deborah and Sheila. I think it's one of those cases that I'm never really going to get over, because there were so many things that could have been changed that could have prevented it. Yeah, me too. If someone wants to pay for airfares for me to fly to Nova Scotia and buy a couple of cans of spray paint, kidding. Yeah, there's got to be someone out there who's, I reckon Chelsea herself is pretty talented as an artist, so I reckon she should get a bunch of spray cans and get out there somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I know graffiti art is a completely different thing, but I've seen how quickly Chelsea can start a new project, a new type of art, and pick it up really, really quickly. So, welcome in, Susie. So, I think that Chelsea should go practice out on the grass outside somewhere first, and then go and do some graffiti art for Lily and Jack. And, you know, maybe it could become a thing. Maybe there needs to be one for Maddie somewhere too, in nice, pretty greens. We certainly need a bit more of that sort of thing, a bit more of bright art to celebrate these children. Which, on that note, I will be doing another live stream for members in the next day or so. The project that I spoke to members about for Layla is growing, as it does, but I'll save that for something for members. I'll talk to members about that in my next live stream. Okay, so back to Jenn Soto, back to absolutely pulling apart her interviews for the purpose of showing how desperately she needs to be arrested, and how desperately we need real justice for Maddie, in my opinion. Because this is not justice. And I know I've said this so many times, but, 12 months on, I'm ready to start getting loud. I was devastated that Sterns got away with a no contest plea. It should not be allowable. Not when you're talking about the death of a child. He's never going to have to face the consequences of what he did in terms of having it all laid out in front of him where he can't avoid seeing it. In terms of people actually telling him to his face, like a judge telling him to his face, you are the scum of the earth. Me too. Maddie deserved so much better. And I just get so wild when I think about Jenn just happily going on with her life. Nothing, no consequences for Jenn at all. She gets to just go stick her head in the sand again, which is the reason we got here in the first place. Goes on with her life. Forgets that she had a daughter. All we can do is hope to goodness that there's no man out there that ever sees her attractive and that there's no more children from that woman. Because she's not parent material. She would be the perfect argument for sterilisation, in my opinion. Not that I would ever argue for that, but honestly, I just pray that she never has any more children. Yeah. I keep thinking about the milestones, and, I think of Maddie in high school and just, really coming into her own, and well, the only reassurance I have is that Tyler was a high school boyfriend. So at the end of the day, she manipulated him, even though they weren't together anymore. I'd be very surprised to see if there were any men who were actually interested in her. Although, you have Sterns as well. Ooh. I'll have to do a search for that, because that is definitely worth watching. There's a case in Mississippi right now. I think there are 2 or 3 adults that have been arrested because they basically had condoned and allowed, I think it's a 14-year-old girl, had been in a live-in sexual relationship with a older man, like an adult man, and got pregnant. And Mississippi has turned around and said it's not acceptable for these adults to allow this to happen to a 14-year-old girl, and they've arrested the adults. So it's a shame that Florida can't learn from that. Okay, I'm going to jot that name down. John, I'll put that up so people can see it. I haven't even heard of that channel. Cord Ray LPC. When mothers look away, I will definitely have to look for that. And welcome in, Grover. Good to see you. She's lazy and unlikable, and I really, really hope that there aren't men out there that see any use in her. I agree. He targeted her because of Maddie. They were working together. Clearly he was like, oh, here's a good one for me. Now, Jenn claims that she was like, we were friends together for ages, and I was like, well, how about if we get together or something like that? But he would have been like, nah, not interested if Maddie wasn't around. I can pretty much guarantee that. Yeah, people don't need to be diplomatic towards Jenn, in my opinion. I think the days of diplomacy are over for her. I think people need to start getting fierce. People need to get. Sorry, my brain will kick in soon. People do need to start getting fierce and less diplomatic. How do parents allow that? I haven't dug into the case too much yet. I'm trying to decide after Maddie's case if I can go down that route again. I mean, at least the girl involved is alive. But for adults to allow grown-ass men access to teenage girls, it's wrong. It's wrong. The way they jumped on that church footage, they knew, obviously, but to jump on that footage and use that as their alibi, it's absolutely disgusting. It should not be. I mean, isn't that... No, probably isn't enough to prove Jen's guilt. But even if they can't prove her involvement with the cover-up, they've got enough to get her on neglect. And I went and looked up the charges again last week, and I forgot to put them on my laptop to show. The terminology I was using wasn't quite right, but it is essentially aggravated child abuse. That's the thing. They knew it wasn't Maddie, and they jumped on it. This is the preacher's son over in Mississippi. He knew, like, he was paying the family off. That's horrible. Good to know you're on antibiotics, Anki. That is such a good thing. I hope they kick in really, really quickly. And I hope they work quickly. And I hope you don't have to do 2 rounds of them or anything like that. All of that. Making a false statement to police. She wrote it. You can't claim that when you were handwriting this statement saying, now, what was it? I should have had it here to look up. But she lied outright. I think in that one she said, we took Maddie to school. Exactly. They charged Adrian Reed. They got her on that before they got her on the charges for Genesis's death. So there's so many things they could get her on. Good to know you've got strong antibiotics. Make sure you get some yogurt or something while you're on them as well. It's always healthy. I must admit, I rarely take antibiotics, so when I do have to take them, they kick in pretty quickly. So I hope that's the same for you. Yeah. You cannot. How can she possibly come up with any excuse for her lies on the statement? It's not like it's something you can remember. Welcome in, Ariel. No, she's not a mother's shoelace. So true. Oh, it's sickening. That interview where you've got the pet feeder calling Sailor or the cat in Sterns's voice, and she thinks that's funny. Oh, that's perfect, Unky. Probiotic drink every morning and a banana and coffee. That'll get you going. I miss coffee. I really do. But it just wasn't doing me any good anymore. So, I mean, it would be bad enough her laughing at the pet feeder going off in the middle of the interview. But the fact that the pet feeder has got Sterns's voice recorded on it, making that pathetic baby voice, it's nauseating. It's so wrong. Yeah, okay, I get that people get nervous in interviews. But if you're nervous in an interview about your missing child, the last thing you're going to do is laugh at a pet feeder. I know. Can you imagine that? Re-traumatizing her every day with that damn pet feeder. Like, horrible, horrible. Yeah, I've listened to it a few times now, and it's definitely his voice, which makes it so much worse. Honestly, I'd be breaking that pet feeder. If I was sitting there in an interview about my missing child and that pet feeder went off with his voice, I'd be like, just hang on a minute. I'll be back in a minute. I would go over. I'd pick up that damn feeder and I'd throw it out the window and make sure that it broke when it hit the ground. Yeah, I did think it was odd that it wasn't edited out. And I think they were on to Jenn and Stephan because these media, the interviewers, a lot of them have seen these sort of cases before. Probably not Maddie's, but they interview people for a living, so they would have seen how disgusting that was. They would have seen all the red flags with Jenn and decided, let's leave it in so people can see it. Yeah, and then she did. She went straight back to shaking the leg. I guarantee you, I agree, hugging demons. It's probably comforting for her. using that feeder with Sterns' voice in the background. I would presume that they're the sort of ones that you can re-record the messages on them. But I bet she hasn't. Yeah, how vile is it for her to sit there giggling at it? Any normal parent would have destroyed that thing. They would have stopped the interview and they would have just destroyed the thing. How do her family still allow her to stay at their place? I mean, last time I looked her up, her address is at Yolanda's. Now, I don't know if she's staying at Yolanda's or Stephanie's or swapping in between. But there's got to be a line. Sure, when someone's family, you will forgive them for some things. But that's their granddaughter, their niece, that she handed over to him on a platter. I wouldn't be able to... Honestly, I know that neither of my siblings would do something like that, but I sure as hell would never want to even be in the same room as them. Exactly. Maddie's got a much bigger family out there of people who genuinely care. Yep. And that poor cat, when Stephan and Jenn had to go in the hotel room, it was left in the townhouse. Because you see it in a number of the forensic photos. So, you know, they could have gone, oh, sod off, Bogan. Sorry. We get this occasional Bogan around here who has to hoon their car around. I wouldn't do that. I'd be putting my cat in a carrier and dropping it off at my sister's place and saying, look, they need forensics in here overnight. Can you look after the cat while we take the dog to the hotel with us? Thank you, Carrie, for the jewels. Very much appreciated. Yeah. Seems like there's never going to be any consequences for Jenn unless people get loud. Because it seems like her family's not worried about consequences. Yeah, we get the occasional one, a few of them a week, up and down this road, just think that they're big, just proving how tiny their brains are. Oh, thank you, Carrie. I always get so emotionally attached to these cases. Sometimes I wish I couldn't become so emotionally attached because it's hard. Tyler and Tatiana really stepped up to the mark. They did, didn't they? I hope they're doing okay. And Tatiana's sister as well, and I can't remember her name. Maddie should have been with them. No, no one's going to give Jenn a job now. Gosh, you would hope that everyone in the area knows who she is, and nobody's going to give her a job. Can you imagine walking into a hotel and having her greet you at the counter? I'd turn around and walk out and go somewhere else. It certainly wouldn't be good for business. Yeah. And I think that's why I love this photo of her so much. Not just because it's got the rainbow behind her, but because she really looks so much like Tyler in this photo. So she SSI, is that like a disability pension kind of thing? $940 a month. Well, thankfully, that doesn't really sound like much money at all. I'd struggle to live on that in a fortnight. So I hope she is struggling. Exactly, she's too lazy. I mean, that's the other thing that grates on me so much. Her being, oh, I couldn't go to Maddie's 13th birthday because I just started a new job. We all know that that job wasn't going to last. So how about growing some balls, telling your employer that, look, I'm happy to do whatever shifts, but I'd really like to have this shift off on this Sunday night because my family have got a 13th birthday for my daughter. And I really need to be there because it's her 13th. But no, knowing full well that the job was never going to last anyway, she chose that over her daughter. Yeah, well, here in Australia, you'd be lucky if that would pay your rent for a fortnight. Social security disability for poor people. That explains now why one didn't sell the townhouse and why Yolanda bought her a car. The state might be kicking in supplemental social security, but don't know how it works. Oh, okay. I think here it's just all one kind of thing. No, that's not true. She did actually attend Maddie's funeral, and you can hear that in Tyler's interview, where he actually talks about how he didn't want to have anything to do with her. I think he said that he hugged her at the funeral, just, because it's protocol accepted, but that he didn't want to have anything to do with her at the funeral. They do. They really do. She probably sees it as her right. Wow. Yeah, sorry, I was reading another comment. She really did have a nerve showing her face. This is what I was saying wow about. They cut you off if you have a child. That's unreal. That's when people need more support. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, things like that certainly don't want to be posted without permission. That's lovely. I do a bit of illustrating. And usually when I have something in my head, I can put it on paper and it comes out exactly how it is in my head. I tried to do a sort of a, because I can't do like realism in terms of portraits. My style is more of a kind of a mix between cartoon and anime. It's kind of a bit unique. I tried to do a kind of a tribute thing for Maddie with her in her little Tinkerbell costume and with Stitch, and it was just going to be like a almost back on profile kind of thing. Should have been one that was really easy for me, and I just couldn't get it right. It never even got beyond the point of sketching it out for some reason, which is so frustrating. Sometimes the ones that really matter are the ones that just don't happen for me. Maybe they've changed it. Maybe that's how it used to be, I guess. I'm not sure. Okay. Now, I was thinking this morning, I need to think about, I want to do a song for Jenn. A Daniel-style song for Jenn. And probably one for Baby Boy Sterns as well. Just something to lighten the mood when we're talking about Maddie. Oh, wow, that's so cool. A few years back, well, I generally, at Christmas time, either give gifts that are based around my artwork in terms of my illustration. So one year, everyone got Christmas baubles with Christmassy illustrations inside them. Or I'll do something that's like a clay kind of thing or a resin kind of thing. So going back a few years ago, I'd created some molds for. I had this cool Christmas tree that I wanted to make a mold from, and I made a mold for this Christmas tree, and the mold came out crooked. So I ended up with this resin Christmas tree that was at an angle. So I ended up making a bunch of those and then adding clay to them and turning them into these funny little caricature Christmas trees that were all like crooked and a little bit quirky. And, that's what I gave everyone one Christmas. So I do that sort of thing, but I wish I had the ability to do realism. I know it's something that if you practice, you get better. But I think, my style just is that whole, sort of mix between cartoon and anime, a bit of the anime influence, a bit of a chibi kind of influence with the big eyes and stuff. I just, I would love to be able to just develop my skills and get better in terms of the other stuff. We all have our different talents. It's all good. I've never really worked in charcoal because it's so messy. I can't handle it with my ADHD. I did an ink drawing of a vintage car, and it took me, I have no idea how many hours it was, but a lot of time. And it was one that I fluked. It turned out okay. But I don't think I could do it again because it took so much focus. I'll have to load up some images sometime to show you my butterflies, because I love doing my butterfly danglies. And there's something that when I am doing markets and stuff, then they tend to be one of the things that goes really quickly, the danglies. Either I do one of two things with my danglies. I either have butterflies, or I use glue to stiffen origami, and then I put clay over the origami. So I have paper cranes as well that I've basically put origami over the top of. And I also do it with some different origami butterflies. They tend to be a popular thing because, you know, the whole dangly thing. My brother used to make quite a habit of giving people plant gifts every Christmas. I thought it was great because he was always giving us cactuses or cacti, and I'm better with cacti because I don't kill them. Yeah, no. I use the glue to make them hard. Is that better? Let's steer away from that. I've had to put my real life cactuses out of reach out on the front porch, because if I get like a grocery order or a DoorDash order, Mouse goes out and the first thing he hones in on is the plants. Yeah, it's my ADHD. I forget to water them. Actually, way back, before I broke my shoulder, I bought a couple of bonsai kits, and I was really looking forward to looking after them and raising them, and I had them sitting out the back, just, you know, getting sunlight and everything, and then I broke my shoulder and they just got neglected and they ended up just completely dead. So, okay, let's get back to Maddie. Let's get back to some of this Jenn Soto audio. As much as I hate to, this is what we're here for. Okay.
Is it typical to walk to after school?
If I'm working, yes.
And I did run it back just a little bit, like I like to do.
And where? I mean, in relation to the school, like, is it a close walk, long walk?
It's a very close walk.
Okay.
And that's the audio that I stopped on last week and went, I'll fix that before next week. And I forgot. I'm so sorry.
So typically in the morning, if, or I guess before Stephan moved, did he live with y'all?
I will make myself a note. In fact, I'm making myself a note right now. And I will edit out all the quiet bits next week. For next week. Yeah, if I'm working. So it happens once in a blue moon. On those rare occasions that you actually have a job for a few days, Jen, that's when Maddie walks to Yolanda's. It's I love origami. I'm addicted to origami. I once did the whole 1,000 crane thing. I have a stack of origami paper, more than I would ever get through. But it's one of my addictions. Okay, sorry, trying to pull these things off screen. Oh, you have over 100 houseplants. That is so cool, Grover. I wish I could do that. And we get the silence. There will be an end to the silence somewhere. Eventually. This is... Okay, come on, speed up. Let's have the end to the silence.
So it's typical of him to be able to get her ready in the mornings and drop her to school. Do you all tend to split that responsibility, or what does that look like?
Typically, I do it.
Okay.
This morning, because of my work schedule, because I've been so exhausted, I asked him to take over and do it, and he said,
Typically, I do it, she says. Well, Maddie's best friend said that Sterns never drove Maddie to school. That was the first and only time. Typically is just outright lie. This is why I put this on the thumbnail, because this whole part of the interview is just lie after lie. And it just trips off her tongue like it's no big deal. Like, oh my gosh, the woman is she's a potato. She really is. Yeah. Yeah, my work schedule. She worked 2 days in God knows how long since she had her last job. But, you know, her work schedule. I would put money on that. It makes me sick listening to the interview where Jenn is talking about how, you know, they get up and Maddie gets ready while Jenn does something, and then Maddie goes and lies back down and has a rest while Jenn makes her breakfast for her. I'm like, BS. Maddie would have got up, got herself ready, got her breakfast organised, while Jenn probably finally got up and put makeup on. And then, you know, then Jenn would drive her to school. Wouldn't be surprised if Maddie was one of these kids that was always late to school because her mum couldn't organise herself. Oh, you can guarantee it. You can guarantee it. She's...
that he would.
Okay. Has he done it before, though? Like, is he familiar with how to drop her off? And
I'm going to say he's done it once or twice before. I'm not too sure.
I'm going to say we get the sigh and the going to say in the space of, 20 seconds? Oh, you get your new glasses tomorrow. Nice. I keep forgetting I need to actually go into the optometrist and order some new glasses just for my MacBook, because mine are the bifocal ones, and I can't wear them when I'm on the computer because the way the bifocals are, they're great for driving, which is the main reason, and they're great for if I'm just reading or something. But if I'm on the MacBook, then I'm not necessarily looking down and I can't see it. And then I get, anyway. Seriously. I'm going to say she changes the number of times that Sterns has driven Maddie to school frequently. She cannot come up with a consistent idea in terms of how many times she thinks Sterns should have possibly driven Maddie to school. No, I cannot. I paid extra when I got them to have that kind of film that's on them for when you're on your computer. And then I discovered that they don't work for me when I'm on the computer or on the iPad. So now I have to go in and get just a regular pair that's not bifocal, still with the expensive glare film stuff on them, so that I can actually see things on my MacBook. But it's always one of those things, I think about it when I'm on a live stream, when I suddenly think I need my glasses, and then I forget about it afterwards. So must do it. Seriously. I'm going to run that back. This woman drives me nuts.
So it's typical of him to be able to get her ready in the mornings and drop her to school. Do you all tend to split that responsibility, or what does that look like?
Typically, I do it.
Okay.
This morning, because of my work schedule, because I've been so exhausted, I asked him to take over and do it, and he said he would.
Okay. Has he done it before, though? Like, is he familiar with how to drop her off? And
I'm gonna say he's done it once or twice before. I'm not.
Thank you for the jewels, deafening silence. Good to see you in here. I know, it's just, I'm going to say he's done it once or twice before. Like, I'm not sure. Yes, you're sure, Jen, because he's never done it before. And then she gets onto the BS about Maddie being embarrassed about his car when he's never, ever taken that car there in the first place. 9:28. It's what, 20 minutes, Jen said, to get from the townhouse to the school? She said they leave at 8:50. Even if they left at 9 o'clock, they'd still get there with plenty of time for Maddie. She claims that they all went to bed at 11 o'clock. Well, suck it up, Jen, and get up in time to take your daughter to school. But, yeah. I mean, here in Australia, 9:20, like, you'd be halfway through the first lesson. That's crazy. And you have regional areas here where kids bus into school And they're catching the bus at 6:30 in the morning. So, wow, having to be at school at 7:30. Unreal. Hope you get some sleep there. Deafening silence. That's unreal. When I was in high school, my friends were into rowing. And for me, I was like, nah, I'm not doing that because you have to get out of bed early. Exactly. And it wouldn't have mattered if Maddie was only just on time, or even if Maddie was a little bit late. Now, why not make your LabCorp appointment for just after drop-off time, or early enough that you can go to your appointment and then still get to the front of the pickup line? But no, she couldn't do that, because that would mean actually having to have a reason to get out of bed. So instead, she sleeps in and gets to this LabCorp appointment, 15 minutes after Maddie's school started? But she couldn't get up early enough to drive Maddie to school? She's ridiculous.
Not too sure.
Okay. In the time since he's been back, well, not this time because he's only come back over the weekend, but in the other times, he's done it maybe once or twice.
I'm gonna say yeah.
She's always gonna say. I'm gonna say yeah because I know it's a lie. So I'm not just gonna say straight out, oh yeah, that's truthful. No. Yeah. Exactly. She didn't care about Maddie. It was all about Jenn. I think a few people have suggested that the reason she cancelled her Botox appointment was because Maddie didn't get enough birthday money. And I wouldn't be surprised. I could imagine Jenn being that parent who borrows money from her child and then forgets to pay it back. She was probably thinking, I'll borrow the money from Maddie's birthday money and she's not going to ask me for it back. I know, it's so infuriating. Always comes out. You get the Soto sigh and the I'm going to say. I know. I found it really amusing in the immunity interview when you saw the foot going like a rattlesnake with one of the detectives. It's just kind of, going casual at first. And then when she's really, really just pulling out the BS, you can see his foot just starting to flicker like a rattlesnake. And it was like, wow. I know. We definitely need a Jenn song. No, and I've got to watch that. I've got to make myself a note. I think after we finish this first interview, we should have a look at the Vinnie-Politan one. She needs to be in there. She needs to be locked up. Welcome in, Kenneth. It makes no sense. She needs to be locked up. She needs some penalties for this. Yeah, we'll have a look at the Vinnie-Politan one. Do that as a discussion after this one. Because he's usually pretty much on the ball. Sometimes he gets guests in that aren't the most brilliant guests, but he doesn't do a bad job. Okay, more of this woman.
Is there any reason that he dropped her off a block away instead of dropping her off to the school?
Because she asked. Because she is embarrassed of his car.
I've lost count of the lies already. This is the third or fourth one, and we're only a little way in. Because she asks. Because she's embarrassed by his car. Even though this isn't his car and he's never brought it a year before. Oh, yeah, does that make sense? I'm going to have to do a list of all Jen's bits and turn it into a song. I'm not sure what style of song. It seems like an insult to Maddie if I can't try and do another song that's a Disney style. But if anyone's got any inspiration in terms of what style of song we need for Jenn, let me know.
Really? When did she express that?
Multiple times when we've been like, okay, I think Stephan might take you to school or he might pick you up. She goes, can he pick me up far away? Can he leave me here? Like, I don't want to be seen. I'm just like,
how dare she? It's okay, Amira. Apparently Amira doesn't like Jenn Soto either. Can you believe that? It's like she's done this multiple times, she claims. And then she's coming out with this BS story. Like, oh, you know, when I say, Stephan might take you to school or he might pick you up, and she goes, can he pick me up far away? Can he leave me here? Like, I don't want to be seen. Stephan never drove Maddie to school. I believe Maddie's best friend over Jenn Soto. In fact, I think Letitia also said Stephan never drove Maddie to school. Oh, yeah, the laptop. My gosh, that was the biggest tell, wasn't it? When she's like, oh, they can't track the laptop, and the family say, oh, yeah, they can. And she starts swaying straight up. I know. It's not just about the lie. It's the way the lie landed. How could someone... You would have to be a full-on sociopath to embellish the story that much. We know that Stephan never drove Maddie to school. Now, no one's ever said whether or not he ever picked her up, but I would doubt it. But Jenn comes out with this to the point where she even laughs. Oh, me too. Well, my biggest problem, and I know that this is something that a lot of people with ADHD have. When you have ADHD, part of the thing is that it takes longer to process things. So if I was sitting here in an interview, I wouldn't be able to come out with the lies. I am that person, if you ask me directly, I'm just going to blurt out the truth. I'm not going to have time to process it and think, should I say that? It's going to be out of my mouth before I even realize. And I'm also the sort of person that overshares because my brain doesn't stop me from processing first and editing. So I would tell on myself in the first 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, yes. Got to add those in. I've got to try and remember these things. No, I've just got to quickly, let me just jot that down because we need some songs. Especially that damn purple droid. I think Stephan's song is going to be a much easier one. And his stupid Tamagotchi and yeah. I think many of us who have ADHD just don't have that filter that stops us. The mouse droid, yeah. It's oh, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. I'm just incapable. I've never learned how to lie because lying involves having fast enough processing skills to actually analyze the question and oh, the dragon, yeah, cool. I know. It's so sad that she's not been given the justice she deserves. Yeah, I think that's part of it for those of us with ADHD as well. It's the steps of processing the question, processing is the answer something that I should say, and then processing if I'm not going to say this answer, what can I say instead? And because for the ADHD brain, it's almost impossible to lie anyway. So it's not just a what can I give as an alternative, it's a what can I give that's still kind of in the same neighborhood as the truth that isn't going to incriminate me in any way. So, those processes don't happen. So you want to find something out from an ADHD person, ask them directly. And they're just going to blurt it out before they've had time to process. I'm not going anywhere near her math book. They were some of the, oh God, now I have images in my mind. I deleted those photos from my Google Drive because it was just too heartbreaking. I remember when I was talking about Maddie's maths teacher, going on a rant over the fact that clearly Maddie's maths teacher never checked her work, never collected her book. Either that or they just chose to ignore it. Because surely, if a teacher had seen something like that in a maths book, they would have reported it. Okay, I need to get that picture out of my mind. My gosh, let's keep going.
What car does he drive? I'm curious.
It's that Buick.
Oh, okay.
But to her, that's an old hoopty car.
Fancy taste. I get it.
What was that laugh? She sounded like some sort of animal. Well, to her, it's an old hoopty car. Well, it wasn't his Honda, Jen. Maddie probably didn't even know that's the car that Sterns brought with him, given that she didn't go out of the apartment after Stern arrived. This whole part of the interview just really grates on me, knowing that she's lying outright. Oh dear. You've got to laugh at Jen. Otherwise, your brain just melts. I agree. Maybe she saw it in terms of she saw it in the driveway at Deb and Chris's place when they were living down that way and when they visited. But she certainly would have never seen it up around the townhouse because Sterns never brought it up before. I did have photos of his Honda. It was a pretty old, clunky piece of crap, basically. Right here, there's so many lies in this first interview. And they can be proven. So it just does my head in. It was definitely a nervous laugh. The first one was that whole flippant, let's make it sound funny, and that way it might sound credible. And I think she's read his body language or his expression, realised he wasn't buying it, so when she's tried again, it's just kind of completely tanked.
Can you remember anything about Sunday or Saturday or this weekend where she may have said that she was wanting to hang out with friends or something she was wanting to do or anything?
On Sunday, she actually had a party and she had some friends come over.
Mm-hmm.
So she hasn't expressed that she wanted. She actually got to spend time with friends and family. She had a great Sunday.
Okay.
She came back with a lot of presents. She was super happy.
She came back with a lot of presents. Tell us about the presents, Jen. These many, many presents that Maddie came back from the party with. Can you tell us what they were? Because I'd love to hear from you what these many, many presents were that she had. All up, I think 4. There were 2 interviews on the 27th of February. Then there was also the interview. No, there might have been 5. Because there was the interview when they picked her and Sterns up from the hotel. And they were in there charging him for the images, and they told her about the images. And she said, can I decide later if I want to prosecute him for this? And I know that there was another interview after that, and I don't know if it was the immunity one, though, where they confronted her over what she said. Welcome in, Sarah. Good to see you. Yeah, I really do need to, now that things are slowing down a bit with Jack and Lily's case, I really do need to start delving into Seth's case, because I want to look at the interviews with the parents and see for myself what it is that everyone's talking about. And, you know, there's too many cases with autistic children where things have gone wrong. Did I say Seth? It's Sebastian. You know what I'm trying to say. This whole thing of, you know, her party was great. She was super happy. Maddie went to the park with her friends during the party, and she was really upset. One of the reasons she was really upset was because her mother didn't go to her party. Yeah, so we definitely had the two on the 27th. This one, I think, was recorded in the townhouse. The second one was when they locked them out of the townhouse. And then the third one was when they picked them up from the hotel room and they showed Jen the images. Good to see you, Bonza. Welcome in. And I'm sure there was another one after that before the immunity one. There was, because it was, oh, was it? Yeah, there was. Because remember, they took her phone off her and she had a little teary-eye moment about her birthday because her passcode was her birthday. And they found Maddie the same day that they interviewed her. So all up, there were 4 regular interviews and then the immunity one. They do. They really do. She needs to be arrested. Maddie deserved better than this. But it makes me so wild hearing her talking about Maddie's happy birthday party. I mean, I suspect that in front of family, in front of Yolanda and the aunts, that Maddie put on a face at the party and acted happy. But I think that then with her friends, she was able to be more comfortable and just tell them that she was sad. But I honestly don't believe Jen spoke to Maddie Sunday night. I don't believe Jen has any idea how Maddie's Sunday went. There's nothing else referred to in the documents, so I'm not sure. I don't think there's anything else. There are, in my playlist, I've got a handful of these interviews that came out in another FOIA request that are the state's version, and I think some of the redactions are lifted. So I will probably use those ones when I get to them in place of these original ones. But I don't think there's been anything additional that's been released. I think. Oh, I did a Sorry, I'm just trying to think back because this is going back a bit now. I did an additional FOIA request after Sterns did a plea. And I was ahead of the game with that one. So they sent me a massive bill for if I wanted to get that FOIA request. So I just basically handballed it to Paula because I couldn't afford it. I'm not sure if she ever followed up on it. So I think there might have been more staff, but yeah, for me, I know it was sort of out of my budget. But that's my feel. When you see the way they handled it with Sterns, I do think that law enforcement had a file on Jenn, and the prosecutor went, yeah, this case is over now. We've got Sterns locked up. Let's not worry about her. I don't know if there is some of the things that they could charge Jenn. Try again. Some of the things that they could charge Jenn for, there's got to be a statute. Now, I think a lot of statutes are usually like 5 years or something. So this is the other reason why we need to keep getting it out there that Jenn Soto needs to be charged. Exactly. People changing the jobs and stuff like that. Honestly, Deb and Chris, I've done a number of videos where I believe it shows that they were involved. Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? After Sterns was charged, I actually contacted Orange County, I think it is, and asked if there was any possibility of an interview with Detective Tagler, and got told, sorry, we don't do that. Because I would have just loved to have done an interview with her from the perspective of her as a female in a very male-dominated role. But apparently they don't do that, which is a shame. Oh my gosh. Is it on Maddie's page? I'll have to go look at it afterwards. It's been a while since I've looked on Maddie's page, actually. I kind of, had stopped going there a long time ago. But for that, I'll go look. Yeah, that's the immunity interview, which yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay. So, no arguments at home recently or anything?
No, nothing like that.
Has she ever, in the totality of, I guess, everything, as long as she's been, ever gone off to spend time by herself, or gone to hang out at a park by herself, or something to kind of clear her own head?
So there's a lake right behind this building.
Mm-hmm.
She'll sometimes sit at the dock by the lake, but I check on her often.
Here we go with another lie. Yeah, I saw those bonds. I'm looking forward to looking at them after this, especially the one on the Morecombe family. Oh, you saw that detective in different cases. Got it. Sorry, I was taking a bit of time for the brain to kick in this morning, I think. You know how many times my brain gets it confused between Stephan, Stephanie, and then you throw in Stephen as well. Like, oh my gosh. It is a challenge. I do think what you're saying there, deafening silence, I've always believed that I know some people get upset over it, but I do believe that Maddie was probably pregnant. When you listen to the different interviews and the various the things like having the pregnancy tests under the sink, and Jenn being like, oh yeah, no, I didn't actually buy her any sanitary products last month. I hadn't even noticed that. And Jenn keeping tabs on her cycle. And I know there's people that get triggered by that. And I know there's one content creator that gets especially upset. Yeah, at the very least, either she thought she was or she was. There's too many things that point in that direction. And that would also go a long way to explaining Sterns having that funny, crazy meltdown on the Saturday. And Maddie doing the I don't want to go home with Juan. It's a sobering thought. Because she was still just a baby. She was only just turning 13.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, I don't know if something at school upset her, something here upset her. Not that it would be anyone's fault, but if there's somewhere that she may go for, like, peace of mind.
I'm not saying it's a motive, but I'm saying that the coin thing as well. She found parenting coins on Amazon that you flip. Okay, see you later. Yeah, parenting coins on Amazon that you flip, and it's like your turn, my turn, and it's supposed to be, your turn to do whatever it is with the child, and my turn to do whatever it is with the child. Yeah, I don't think it was motive, but I think it may have factored into the whole situation. The thing that bothers me a lot is that Maddie's counsellor spoke about how she was empowering Maddie to speak up for herself. She was talking about how she had been working with Maddie on teaching Maddie to be able to say to Jenn when she didn't like something, how to just basically, stand up for herself. And I can't help thinking that in science, they were doing sex ed, which maybe Maddie learnt some things. I think you have the counsellor saying to Maddie, it's okay to stand up for yourself and say, no, this is not acceptable, you have a situation where Sterns is already stressed if he's heard that Maddie could be pregnant. You have a situation where Maddie is upset after her party and possibly stressed out if she believes she's pregnant. That's a powder keg. That's a recipe for disaster. If she had said to him, if she'd have done what her counsellor had told her with Sterns, exactly, deafening silence. When I heard that interview, straight away, I just felt sick to the stomach. Because this counsellor gave this child advice without first trying to really understand what her home life was like. If you haven't taken the time as a counsellor, this is only my opinion, but if you haven't taken the time as a counsellor to understand, to try and delve into what's happening in a child's home life, and you get them all worded up to go home and stand up for themselves, you could be signing their death warrant. And I keep coming back to that, and I keep wondering if, with all these things in play, that maybe that night Maddie did say, stop, this is not happening anymore. And Sterns lost his temper. Maddie wouldn't have known that doing that was going to put her at risk, because an adult told her that's what she should do. There were so many signs when it comes to Maddie that something was not right at school. The fact that she was having panic attacks and going to the nurse frequently. These are things that the counsellor should have been aware of. The counsellor was only seeing Maddie once a month. She wasn't even trying to form any sort of bond with Maddie. So she couldn't possibly have an understanding of what was going on in Maddie's home life. But to have a child that is on a regular basis having panic attacks and going to the school nurse, and then to just give this very general advice of, yeah, go home and just say, I don't like this, I don't want this to happen, I've got to stand up for myself, without knowing the cause of the panic attacks, that's frightening. I know. I wouldn't be surprised. The other thing is, in that one of the interviews, I'm not sure if it was whether Chris was on an interview on the phone and you hear Deb in the background, but if you remember, Deb Sterns was carrying on about how she would have, what would have happened if he'd have got into the house when Chris wasn't here. There have been things that Deb Sterns has said, which to me makes me think that she was afraid of Sterns, of Stephan, that she was afraid of him becoming violent. Yeah. I'm glad that we'll never know, we'll never see the autopsy. And I think from everything that we do know, I'm glad that we don't know all the details. And that's the thing. She always had to take her friends with her. There was so many red flags. When you listen to the interviews with the teachers, there was so many red flags. And the counsellor didn't pick up on any of them. And I just can't help thinking that this counsellor coached her to go home and stand up for herself, and Maddie thought that's what she was supposed to do with Sterns. I think it shows you just what Jenn's family think of Jenn. The fact that they didn't send, I mean, they cooked all Maddie's favourite food apparently, and they didn't send any home for Jenn. That says a lot. He was definitely at the house. When you look at the documents and you look at the FBI records, he was logged on to his Google account at that house. There's no way Deb could have slept through Stephan coming into the house and logging onto his accounts. And people have speculated, well, maybe he was on a device outside of the house. But we know that's not the case, because after they took his phone and he's sitting in the car with Jenn gave him his phone because he was having a panic because he wanted to get into his Google accounts and he couldn't access them on her phone. Meaning he needed to access his Google accounts on a device that would link to his Google accounts on his own device, meaning he had to have gotten into the house to actually be able to get into Google, to get into his own, or to attempt to log into Google. And that's the thing, the way Deb's not a good actor. She's not believable. That's the thing. It seems like the counsellor just didn't suspect anything. You hear all these other things from Maddie's friends, from other teachers, and the counsellor just seems utterly oblivious. Now, she said she had a meeting at the start of the school year where they were kind of, handing over Maddie's file from where she was at school before. So she should have some information. And surely as a counsellor, if you're working with a child, you want to have communication with the other staff who are working with her. I think things were just done so badly for Maddie. Yeah. That bench is beautiful, isn't it? And they have a memorial for her at Hunters Creek Middle School. Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah, it would be the lake right behind the house.
Does she do any extracurriculars?
Oh, going back to I'll just run that back a little bit.
This building, she'll sometimes sit at the dock by the lake, but I check on her often.
Okay.
She sometimes sits by the lake, and I check on her often. BS, Jenn. If Maddie took off and was sitting by the lake, you would just ignore her. We have the account from Yolanda of Maddie taking off and wandering the neighbourhood, and Yolanda going, "You've got to go back home." clearly, the moment Maddie walked out that door, Jenn just went, oh, whatever. Oh, I know. Not only that, but the counsellor says to the officer, oh, well, the boyfriend moved out and she's doing better. Hello, ding, ding, ding. Are you really that dumb? Like, I'm sorry, that's when you start to dig. And she's like, oh, I didn't see any red flags in her saying that she was glad he was moving out because he's just weird. Again, a red flag when a child deflects like that and gives a really vague reason as to why they are so glad that their mother's boyfriend is moving out. That's a huge red flag. You need to pay attention. Well, one teacher and one the after school carer dude as well. So there's two people at her school. Welcome in, Miss Shitado. Good to see you in here. And that's the thing. It's my understanding, I did a bit of research. It's my understanding that these counsellors are basically teachers who've been trained to become counsellors. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It just depends on the training. But it really does seem that nobody in that school was trauma informed. Because you listen to these interviews and the red flags are all over the place. Like, I was listening to these interviews and I was horrified that there were so many signs that things were not right for Maddie and nobody noticed. Welcome in, Princess Pillow. Good to see you in here.
I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, I don't know if something at school upset her, something here upset her. Not that it would be anyone's fault, but if there's somewhere that she may go for, like, peace of mind.
Yeah, it would be the lake right behind the house.
Does she do any extracurriculars?
No.
Welcome in, Artemisa. Now, that evening, the last bit of communication between Maddie and her friends was about an upcoming thing with her choir. That's extracurricular. That was something out of hours by the sounds of it. And Jen's going, no, she doesn't do anything extracurricular. Is she out of touch? They're mandatory reporters. So they're more likely to be up for litigation or lose their jobs if they don't report, if they suspect something. Usually when it comes to mandatory reporting, they protect the identity of whoever reports. So in terms of, litigation, it would be the other way around. Like, Tyler would be within his rights to sue the school for missing all the red flags with Maddie. Exactly. It's because Jenn never attended anything extracurricular. Maddie probably never got to go to any of those, unless that was the first one, because it was halfway through the year, though, wasn't it? But you can bet Jenn never attended any of them. True. It does my brain in picturing her as a substitute teacher. It really does. She should know, definitely. Sadly, that's so often the case. So often the case. This counsellor's saying I saw her once a month. I've heard of cases where you have, like, social workers who are there 1 or 2 days a week in a school because they have to cover multiple schools because there's only so much funding, and you get a child going to this counsellor with suicidal ideation and they get given a card for Kids Helpline. There needs to be everywhere, America, Canada, Australia, there needs to be more money put into the mental health of children. True. I reckon you are probably right. I could imagine that Stephanie would probably take Maddie to something like that. Yeah, good point. Jen probably didn't know that Maddie was in the... Well, that's where I've got a big problem. The housemate that's best friends with Jen's sister Stephanie, and that evening when Jen wasn't there and this housemate saw that Maddie and Stephan were together in Stephan's room, and she messages Jen and says, "Are you aware of this?" And Jen's like, "You're good." Jen's not bothered by it. So they must have been aware of more than just that. Maybe because I think I know Stephan makes a thing about Maddie and her singing and everything. I'm thinking just Jen probably, maybe Maddie never told her about performances that were outside of school hours or something. I know, I was the same. I did quite a lengthy video. I was probably, the choir teacher was one of the PDF files. I was a bit scathing. I did a video where I was quite scathing of the lack of knowledge within the school. And I was the same. I was thinking, I would quite happily do an online session for a school like that on trauma-informed practices. Because it should be something that counsellors and teachers are aware of. Yeah, the roommate did say something and Jen basically brushed her off. You're good, we're not worried about it. I'd like to know if the roommate spoke to Stephanie about it.
Got it. Now your roommates, I know you told me their names earlier. Are you okay? Do you have to use the bathroom?
No, I'm just anxious.
Okay.
Of course you're anxious, Jen, because you're just spewing out lie after lie.
I've got anxiety. Let me see where it is. Okay, Angelica, she primarily...
I'm going to bring this up because it's so true. many of these crimes against children have a component of social system failure. CPS, care home for disability, school reporting, missing child not followed up on medically, all these things. Okay, get some rest, Unky. I hope you are feeling a lot better tomorrow. I cannot think offhand of any cases, well, maybe Kylie's case, but that's different again. But in terms of young children, I cannot think, just from sitting here and trying to think of something straight up, of any case that's involved something happening in the home where there hasn't been some sort of systematic failure first. I really hope that this has been a lesson for schools in Orange County and that they have looked at trauma-informed practice. Because when you listen to the interviews with Maddie's teachers, she was telling them. She wasn't explicitly telling them, but she was telling them in the way that a child can tell. And nobody picked up on it. Well, she had the immunity interview, but the deal with that was essentially if she lied in that interview, the deal was off the table. But aside from that, in that interview, anything she disclosed in that interview couldn't be used against her. But the thing that gave me hope in that interview was the way that they kept steering away from certain topics. So it seemed like in the interview, they were being very careful not to ask Jenn about things that would incriminate her. But, never worked. Yeah. Monkey as in Michael Vaughan. Yeah, the justice system's not working. Yeah, she definitely needs support. I need to actually follow up on that, have a look at that, and I'll cover it in one of my live streams. There need to be resources out there for trauma-informed practice, because there's so many kids that are gonna... Cool. I'm just jotting that down, BTTB. And I'll have a look at that. Is she still struggling with her health? Because I know she's been really, really unwell. Yeah, and trauma-informed public as well. That's why I so often go into talking about disabilities. I go into talking about trauma and things like that, because I really want to educate people about that side of it. If I can educate just a handful of people about what the signs are of trauma in children, so that they can be aware and maybe if they see something, they can act, then that makes it worthwhile being on this platform. Oh, Stacey Wanderer is a monster. My heart breaks for her. I need to go and check out her channel. I need to go check out her live streams. I can't imagine the pain of knowing who the person is that took your child from you, knowing who the person is that took away your child's legacy, and knowing that that person will not speak up so you can have your child back and lay your child to rest. Because it's the same for Denise and Stan Smart with Christian Smart. It's been 30 years and they've got that loser, Paul Flores, locked up, and they still haven't got Kristen. And I just hope it's not that long with Monkey. I see the photos of him and he just looks like the most adorable little boy. I definitely need to jump onto her channel and start watching her content. She definitely needs support. I will certainly be looking at that. I feel so much for her. I got really upset with, and I'm going to name it up, I used to really support Harsh Reality until he started coming down on Monkey's parents. Because of him being able to wander away from the house. Sure, maybe they should have looked at that issue and addressed it. But it's not something for the public to comment on when a child's gone, because they probably bash themselves up over it every single day. And attacking a family when, I mean, at that point in time, it was just that he was missing. And attacking a family and saying, you didn't do this and now your child's missing, it's your fault. They didn't make Stacey Wanderer move into that house nearby. Any other day, he might have gotten out and wandered down the street and then headed back home and nothing went wrong. So when Harsh Reality decided to go at the whole family over that was the beginning of the ending for me in terms of following his channel. It was cruel and it was not necessary. A little bit more of this. We'll hear about the flatmates and then might wrap it up after that.
I speak Spanish, so you probably need a Spanish speaker.
Got it.
Okay, Angelica, she primarily speaks Spanish, so you probably need a Spanish speaker.
Sorry.
And then Natalie.
I will fix this audio for next week.
Got it. All right. When's the last time you got in any kind of trouble at home?
I'm going to say a few weeks ago.
What was that for?
I don't think... if she gets a yelling, or if she gets in trouble for anything, it's for her disorganization and messiness. So she leaves laundry on the floor, her room's a mess, she keeps her space very disorganized. So I kind of get on top of her. Do I remember that?
Yeah, Jen, because you're so house proud. Oh, bummer, it doesn't work as a link in the vertical chat. I'll do a post afterwards as well. Are you able to? You should be able to, in horizontal chat, you should be able to pin it, I think. BTTV. I don't think I can pin while I'm in. Hang on. Whoops. I don't think it'll let me pin in StreamYard, but I think you can pin at your end. Oh, okay. It works in horizontal. Right. This is BS. Jen is such a piece of work. It won't let you pin. Bummer. Oh, I can add it to the description after the live stream. I'll do it that way so people can find it. So apparently the reason Jen took Maddie's phone with her when she picked Maddie up was because she was straightening up. She went into Maddie's room to straighten up. But hey, she got on Maddie's back for being disorganized. Yeah, Brandy has not stopped since the day Little Monkey went missing. Even she's had so much trouble with her health. And she's fighting for that baby. That's what a mother should be like. Because unlike Malaya Brooks Murray, Brandy can't exist while her child is out there not properly laid to rest. Exactly. It's insane. She's like, yeah, you know, I yell at her for being disorganized and leaving laundry on the floor. And well, Jen, let's talk about the pictures of the townhouse, the pictures of your bathroom with your laundry on the floor, your bedroom where all that stuff that's rammed onto a shelf, it looks like if you tugged at the wrong thing, everything would fall down. Okay, good night, Ariel. Thanks for coming in. It just does my head in. Her saying that she was getting onto Maddie for being disorganized and messy. Because that's what Jen is. But it also does my head in because she claims that she was straightening up when she found Maddie's phone. She went into that room and got Maddie's phone because Stephan told her it was there. You would not see that phone on that side table unless you walked into Maddie's room. Jenn had no reason to walk into Maddie's room because she doesn't straighten things up normally. So she had to make that up. So hearing this just is, it makes it so much worse when you know that she used the straightening up as an excuse. I think every single answer that we've heard from Jenn here has been a lie of some sort. And she just seems to do it so easily. It is shocking. It really is. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Kind of a late start for starters with me. And I do find I get super riled up and super emotional when I'm talking about Jenn Soto. So that, there comes a point where I'm just like, if I don't stop talking about her now, I'm going to say things in the wrong way that probably aren't appropriate for a live stream. So I think I've probably hit my limit for today of talking about Jenn Soto. I'll come back to it next week. Again, I know we haven't got far through. But I get so triggered. I don't know. There's not many people that trigger me as much as Jenn Soto. I will add the link for Brandy's channel to the description for these videos, for these live streams. Do go check out her channel. I haven't done so yet, but I will definitely do that. I'll check it out over lunch. I'll be back tomorrow morning or evening, whatever, wherever you are, with another live stream for Lily and Jack. If you haven't seen the video that I put out last night or this morning for you guys, it is everything to do with the Lily's blanket. It is the A to Z of Lily's blanket. I'm not sure how long it took. I know I spent 12 hours on it yesterday before finally crashing out and heading to bed at midnight after I finally published it. But I was also working on it the day before because I've basically gone through and got every single bit of audio about that blanket and every news story. I've got the dispatch audio. I've got the stuff from the documents. It's the extensive everything of Lily's blanket. So if you haven't gone and checked that out, please do. And also feel free to hype it because there was many, many hours put into that, and the goal is for the awareness for Maddie, of course. Anyway, I'm going to finish off there. So please hit the like button on the way out. Oh, Carrie, thanks for the jewels. Very much appreciate. Please hit that like button on the way out. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe. And please, if you're listening on replay or even if you just want to come back in and leave a comment, please do leave a comment. That just helps get this out into the algorithm. So on that note, thank you, and I will catch you in the next one.